Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of MGSR Legacy. And this is especially exciting because we're going to be watching a run from I say it's like, kind of cliche to call them someone a legendary player, but I think in this case, it's very apt. We're going to be watching MGSlade's all bosses PB for Metal Gear Solid 1. This was played on the original PlayStation, on the US version. So that might answer your question as to why, it's not anywhere near the times that are currently sitting on the board for this category today. And joining me for this episode will be Patchy, as always, and the man who will be doing a run after this, Iceman. Thank you all for being here.
Always. Welcome, Iceman.
Howdy. Pleasure to be here.
So I'm going to take us over to the screen, and hopefully I've done the layouts correctly. But if you want to place your bets on that, that'll be awesome. I'll take us over now. And that looks correct. Wow. I did it. Yeah, so something we were talking about going into this episode is that we definitely wanted Iceman, and that's because Iceman's got a big history with Slade's All Bosses run, right?
Yeah. 7 years on my end of trying to go after it, I guess. Well,
It's
learning at
a
least.
bit of a run.
It is. Just even seeing like the new strats today, trying to compare them, it's still, his runs from 10 plus years ago give you a run for your money.
Yeah, Slade has been playing MGS1 in a speedrunning sense for a very, very long time. This run was completed in 2017, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
From the YouTube says 2017, but I've had reports that it's from 2013, but I'm not sure. The one I took, I'm pretty sure, is his newest PB, right? So it'll be from 2017. Yeah. Nevertheless, it's a great run, and I'm going to hit play on it now.
Yeah, we're going to get going.
Sweet.
So, of course, it is extreme. This is highest difficulty, highest rank. Classic for Metal Gear speedruns. So, unlike the prior two MGS games we've had on Legacy, this is the one where you gotta mash through the codex. So, your mashing ability is kind of tested in this run, as well as just your gameplay.
Oh, they'll be able to hear it later. That's all my controller is, and when I stream, just mashing buttons.
Smashing it out.
It does take a lot of dexterity to play this game, and it is like something like running any percent, or it's like 30% of the run is mashing X, but it's a lot less in all bosses percentage wise.
Yeah. And another thing that makes all bosses quite a difficult run, just in general, is the fact that for any percent, there's a very consistent and generally agreed upon, equipment item pickup route. Everyone usually grabs the same thing, same order, everything. But for all bosses, there's a lot of variance that can occur during a normal attempt. So lots of on-the-fly decision-making needs to be done to make sure that you have enough, stuns, ammo in your SOCOM, whether or not you even go out and pick up the FAMAS. There is a lot that can be done in this speedrun, so it makes it very interesting.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you can keep an eye on your ammunition count as you're going through. And through time and experience, you can start to see like, oh, I need X amount of ammunition at this point onwards, otherwise I'm not going to make it. And then, of course, if you've had to use too much because of a boss being a bit of a pain or something, you've got to go out of your way and locate more ammunition, which in itself could also be a problem because on the higher difficulties, ammo boxes take longer to respawn. So you might end up getting a bit lost trying to find more.
So this is a very difficult speedrun, but not exactly for the reasons that most people think. A lot of people think, oh, it's the highest difficulty, so, things are bound to be difficult. And while that is true, but the real challenge comes with your ammo and equipment management. You got to be on your A game with that. Make sure you know, like, okay, do I have enough bullets to take out this boss? Do I have enough grenades for this section? What's my health like? Can I afford to take, some damage in a fight? Stuff like that. Lots has to go into it.
Yeah, that's what I find myself as well when I go between difficulties, is when I come back to extreme, it's always just health management, really. Keeping my eye on my health and seeing what I can and can't do. Because unlike the previous difficulties, your health won't actually regenerate after bosses. So what amount of life that you have is what you've got until the torture sequence, where it will fill your life bar up for you.
Something I spotted he does here is he doesn't just take the alert. Most people, even for the highest difficulty, right, you can... Oh, sorry, is it all bosses, right? You can't take that alert.
You can. Thankfully, one of the mandatory alerts is in the torture room with Johnny. They've actually considered that a mandatory alert when you escape, but position yourself correctly, where if you stand up, you can put him into a chokehold before the alert occurs. So, saving this mandatory alert and being able to use it here in the helipad.
Yep. So we're seeing a very standard, introduction here, go through the docks, and now he's crawling through the vent. But once he gets out of here, that's when things really start. That's when the madness starts, I suppose.
Yeah, right off the bat here, as soon as he exits this vent, I believe this is the one where he throws a chaff over the tank, which is almost risky to a point. It does work, it can be consistent, but the guards in this room coming up are a bit of a pain and quite notorious for causing a lot of alerts and a lot of people runs. But it's a nice little strat here, throwing the chaff to save time and alerting the guard so he doesn't spot you going to the elevator.
Yeah, and you could see him right before he got out of the vent, or stood up, he waited a second before he started moving, and he also waited right there after it exploded. Make sure that the guards were in the proper position. So one of the joys, and I say that loosely for all bosses extreme, is the cell fight, guard rush, whatever you want to call it.
It's
yeah, from what I understand in the cell fight, like obviously you want to reduce the amount of kills that you get by letting Meryl kill some of them, but you also have to be really conservative with your ammunition.
Yeah.
Because you need it for later. You can't just like spam out your bullets and kill all the guards because you need that ammo.
It's definitely a tough section. With the routing that I use, going for big boss rank, the amount of guards I kill leaves me 6 guards in this room to kill. 3 at the start, which are mandatory because Meryl doesn't help you on the first 3. And then I've got 3 afterwards, which I try not to use, but they're there as backup if I need to. So it's really tight to get this rank if you're interested in it, as you need Meryl to kill all the guards here pretty much.
The kill count for big bosses, I believe, the max kills is 25, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, 25. Yeah.
You can have 25 on the nose as well, and you'll still get it.
Yep.
A method that you might see here by Slade, which I've adjusted slightly on my own runs, is I believe he chokes the guards and waits for Meryl to shoot them, which is a good method, as it stops them from being able to attack you and holds them in place for Meryl. But something I've expanded upon is, on extreme, these guards take 5 bullets each. And if I shoot them 4 times, Meryl only has to hit them once, and it makes it a lot easier for Meryl to kill them.
What are you waiting for? Shoot!
Don't talk to me.
Yeah, so after those first 3, that's when Meryl will actually start helping.
Shoot!
And there's a common strat to kind of like try and get one of the guards in a chokehold and then hope that Meryl will shoot them for you. But she doesn't always, so... but the one that Slade, I think, uses in this run is to fire a couple shots in them to stun them in place so that Meryl finishes them off.
And he's just not going to pick up that ration Rex. He doesn't even want it in his inventory.
Nah. You won't have too many issues having it picking it up either, as it doesn't clog up your inventory space. There's not a lot of times you have to use the left one. But it could be just preference, going for the big boss rank, so you don't actually use it by accident or, whatnot. But if you were running this yourself on Extreme, I would 100% suggest picking them up, because it's the only ration you're going to get up until the top.
Yeah. There are no more rations besides that one, so take it or leave it.
Yeah. You can farm guards, but it's I don't know the exact percentage. I estimate around 5% chance for them to drop a ration from stealth kills, but even then, that's just wasting your speedrun time.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough fight. Kind of was going a little bad at the start, but he managed to recover very nicely. I'm going to see Ocelot coming up again. He pretty much is going to be at this health for a long time. So
yeah. What a lot of new runners do now is the room just above it here has 8 grenades in it, and the new kind of strat is to kill Ocelot with 3 grenades on Extreme, but it's extremely risky, as if you throw it on the wrong angle or if you get shot while trying to throw it, you can blow up the entire room and kill Baker, cause a game over screen. But it does save about 10 seconds over using the SOCOM here.
yeah, it's one of those things where like it definitely does save time, but like in a run as long and difficult as this one, you have to balance your time save out. Like, do I want to go for this really difficult boss fight strategy, or do I want to, go for something more consistent?
Yeah. You'll see me using the SOCOM purely for consistency. It's not too tough, the grenade thing, but it can go wrong easily with the slightest mistake, or even Ocelot just shooting you randomly sometimes.
I really like the SOCOM ammo pickup at the end as well, so he doesn't waste any time. He just does
Yeah,
it in
very clean.
boss fight ending.
Very, very clean pickup.
If I was to change it just slightly, I'd grab the ammunition in the top left, only because when he finishes here and runs south, he would run through that pickup anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
It seems to respawn anyway.
Oh.
Wants both.
I don't blame him. Extra ammo at like no time lost. See, that's right there is just showing how much Slade knows about the game. He knew they'd respawn. Good elevator too.
It was.
Yeah, nearly
was. Yeah, there was.
The fast elevators are quite common in MGS1, right? They're extremely rare in MGS2.
Yeah, I don't know the exact amount of variation it has. I can only estimate from experience, but I feel like there's about 6 different timings, and 2 of them are quick. So it's like a 1 in 3 chance, give or take.
That makes sense to me.
Because you've got the one that opens instantly upon pressing it. You've got the one that arrives by the time that the snake pushing the button animation ends, which is also good enough. And then you should have about 3 to 4 more of different waiting times. And can make it quite a pain.
This initial tank setup's really strange. It seems really weird to me from how I've seen other people do it. Perfect dunk though.
Yeah, this is the method that I prefer myself. A lot of people now might use a chaff grenade just to make it consistent. Might also be quicker with the chaff, I'm not entirely sure, as you'd have to take into consideration the menuing. But overall, it's a nice kind of strat, really, because you use the rock and the mound of snow to deflect his cannon blasts.
I think the chaff might be faster though in general, just because the explosion causes a bit of lag on PlayStation 1. It might not be. It might actually be faster to do what Slade did here if you were playing on like PS TV. Maybe, I don't know for certain, but it definitely caused a bit of lag.
Something he did at the end of the tank fight as well was switch back to his chaff. In MGS1 you move faster with a weapon out, and chaff's one of the only weapons you can have out in the nuke building. So he had to change off his grenade.
Yeah, it's always good to default. Too. He's just getting them all. This is why I got the PB.
Yeah.
This room here is incredibly tight on picking up both the Nikita and the Stinger, the stun grenade, sorry. The guard in the bottom right corner turns just as you're coming out of the door pretty much, and if you bump even like the slightest corner as you're trying to pull it off, it's a guaranteed alert and almost death.
A lot of scary stuff in some of these strategies.
I think, like, yeah, comparatively to other titles in the Solid series, 1 is definitely the hardest. Like, it's a ridiculously hard game, in my opinion.
That Kodak match was insane. That was so fast. And the early explosion too.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. He's going to swap to the SOCOM here to help with the Grey Fox fight coming up. Both because he needs to shoot him 3 times at the end of the fight, but also having a weapon equipped will actually spook Grey Fox at the start. You'll notice after he does his monologue, after the first 2 attacks, it's like, oh, we'll fight hand to hand, and he throws his sword away or whatever. As they approach, there'll be an exclamation mark above his head, and this is because the weapon's equipped, and it gives you a free hit and allows you to get the drop on him.
It's a ghost.
I didn't know that, S-Man, thanks.
It doesn't have to be the SOCOM, but since we need to shoot him, we're just minimizing inventory movement. So these first 2 shots here, they're freebies. He'll sit there and just take your hits. But after you deal 2 lots of damage, he'll flip over to the top right, and that's when the SOCOM will come into play. But do be careful, because he can just go for some insta-kill attack eventually with weapons.
He does not like you having your weapon out.
Only a fool trusts his life.
So that there.
It's alright.
You can even see him during the fight going and picking up some extra ammo along the way.
Yeah, there's SOCOM where he just picked up there, Famis in the bottom right, Chaff in the bottom left, and I think more SOCOM in the top left, and it's great to pick them up during the fight to save time, of course.
So you have to go out of your way for them later.
Sorry?
So you don't have to go out of your way for them later.
Yeah. The Chaff one's not too bad, it's right next to the door, but the other 3, it's great to pick up for the Mantis fight. This fight itself isn't overly too tough. If it's your first time playing Extreme, then it's going to be a big pain. A lot of people struggle here in their first time. But once you start to learn the mechanics, he's very predictable on what he's going to do. And as well as if you do get stuck, you notice Slade just a second ago crouched. And what this does is when you're in a crouching position as Grey Fox approaches you, it forces Grey Fox to do the stomping attack, which is easily avoidable. So you can force him to do it, stand up, run out of the way, and get another free hit in. It's great if you lose him.
Because the spawn position was too far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he just got all the ammo in the room.
Here comes the chaff now.
Yeah, wow, that's insane.
Also standing here between this locker and the glass, in this final phase here, forces Grey Fox to teleport in front of you. Just making this phase a lot easier, so you don't have to worry.
Good fight.
Yeah, very good fight.
Clean.
So we do have a little bit before we get to the next boss, Psycho Mantis. And mostly at this point it's going to be just moving around the building, grabbing some stuff we need. And then also cutscene stuff before the Psycho Mantis fight.
You can really see the loads come into play now. This was played on the PlayStation 1, so it's on legit hardware, and it's the NTSC copy as well.
Yep.
On his return trip here through the gas hallway, or electrified hallway, whatever you wish to call it, he'll pick up 6 stun grenades in the middle room, and these are going to come into play both during the Mantis fight and the tower climb later. You almost need to pick these up on extreme, I'd say. Or at the bare minimum, just pick up the first pack. As, like mentioned earlier, it's critical how much ammunition you have throughout the whole run. And given that the extreme category has bosses that take more damage, you require a lot more ammunition to be, well, they're a lot more scarce at least.
Yeah, ammo management is very important in all bosses. It is just like, it's basically required, like, to have a good knowledge of like spawns and stuff if you want a good time. Because you might be on you might have, had like a boss fight that went a little rough. Maybe you missed some shots or something like that. Missed a couple things, but if you have good knowledge of where all the ammo pickups are, then you can still convert that run into something good.
Don't move.
Probably the most common spot for me to run out of ammo would be in between the cell fight and revolver ocelot with the SOCOM, and the chaff grenades in the communication tower B climb. I sometimes have just enough 4 chaff grenades for the 4 cameras that you got to deal with.
What happened to the music?
I can get more, or I can save 1 extra, just so I don't have to manage the inventory to pick another weapon for running speed, but it comes at a cost of risking whether I take damage from a camera or not. That's 50-50.
Yeah. Thankfully, by that point, though, you have escaped from the prison, so you did get a heal.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of leeway in terms of the damage you can take.
This section here is pretty weird. You need to be like just north of that crack in the tile for it to trigger this cutscene, but if you're not, you won't. You can just stand there forever, pretty much. And as you can see here, he's throwing the stun grenade, and during the time it takes to explode, he's picked up more ammunition for the fight. Now this fight isn't overly predictable, but at the starting here, usually he should spawn in the top right corner, which he's predicted. And from here onwards, his teleporting locations are pretty much random, but his section now is scripted, so it's a mix of both worlds, really.
Going with a little safer variation of the fight because of his health.
Yeah.
I believe at that health, if he got hit by like the chairs twice, he's dead. I think. I don't remember specifically. I don't remember how much damage the chairs do.
I reckon the chairs and the paintings would put him to like 1 to 5%. The lamps, you might be able to get 2 hits out of the lamps. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
You'll notice him throwing the grenade here. After between 19 and more shots on Mantis, his health bar becomes low enough that you can throw a grenade to trigger this cutscene early. What the grenades do in this game is a boatload of damage. It's why Ocelot fights a lot quicker with grenades. But unfortunately, Mantis, for some reason, is programmed to re-heal after taking grenade damage. So we get enough damage to trigger this cutscene, and once the cutscene gets triggered, the healing process of his grenade strat doesn't work. So you'll notice when Meryl gets knocked out here, Mantis' life will go down to about the S. It'll just completely disappear. Saving probably 20 seconds, I'd say, depending on how good you can shoot.
Yeah, and when he's doing that, when he sees that vision that's looking through Mantis' sight, and he's holding down a triangle to get first-person view for that.
Yeah. Just saves having to pick up the thermal goggles for this fight.
Now, I believe he has a second controller plugged in for this, and he didn't just switch the first one.
Yeah,
I believe that's how he did it. Yeah. Okay.
Shooting Mantis here, as he's flying back to the table, actually triggers the chairs to spawn instead of the lamps here. If you can, I don't know why it does this, but if you can shoot him in between his invisible transition to moving back here, it will change the pattern of what things he throws at you first, and the chairs are a lot easier to manipulate.
Yeah, they're much easier to deal with because you can kind of like do that cheese that he did right there and like crawl up and then basically be right on him, and only have to crouch down to avoid the chairs when they spin closer towards him.
Hmm. You're going to see the second glitch and only other glitch in this run on all bosses, and it works exactly the same way as the vent glitch, except you've got to use a cardboard box to push yourself out of bounds. It probably only saves 2 or 3 seconds, but for me, and if you're running extreme, the best bit about it is that the dogs don't attack you, because
Yes.
I've died to the dogs too many times.
Yes. You do not. Those dogs are random, and they can do a decent amount of damage to you. So
They hurt.
avoid them if you can. It's another one of those things that's important in all bosses, which is deciding whether or not you want to take like consistency for a certain section over just like straight up time save.
Yeah.
So, what do
So
you
Meryl
think?
is
Pretty good,
really
huh?
impressed that she's
How did
managed
you
to
know
walk
where the
through the
mines
minefield here.
It sounds
Um,
weird, but when Mantis dove into
Snake
my
isn't
mind,
too overly
I was
impressed
able
because
to
he's
see
got
where
another
the mines
strat
were
that's
placed.
better than hers,
Are you
as
impressed?
we're about to see.
Well, a little bit.
Only a little?
It's the absolute classic.
Love to see it.
Just run straight up.
Makes it even worse that you can't skip that cutscene as well, so it just puts more emphasis on it.
Unfortunately, you can't do that same glitch on the way back. So we will have to pass by these dogs again. But he's going for the safe approach of trying to get rid of them so that they can't possibly do any damage to him.
It's always the best case.
Yeah.
The classic meme when I was running this once was I got to this point pretty much identical to how Slade has performed today with the big boss rank and good time, and I died to the dogs on my way back through there, and I just got angry. And so now I take no prisoners. I just whip out the FAMAS and just spray and pray until I'm out of the caves.
It's honestly worth it. They can just completely just end a run. So
once they start running at you, it's all over. There's no hope for you.
Especially if you took a decent amount of damage in any of the previous boss fights, like Slade's at right now. I think he would have died in 2 hits or 1, something I don't remember how much damage the dogs do.
I reckon the second hit would have killed him.
Yeah. I think he could have gotten away with 1, but I don't blame him for not even taking any chances.
There's a nice little path in the snowfield here, or canyon, that you can take to avoid all the mines. There's these faint lines in the snow that you can actually see, just barely. They're vertical lines, and we use them to line ourselves up to not get killed by any of the landmines. And coming up here when he clicks B2 in this elevator is probably one of the most notorious rooms, I'd say, for errors. It's very tight.
This is tough. This room is tough.
There's many different ways to approach this room, and every single one of them involves some sort of risk.
What was that noise?
You had to wait a bit there, as the guard in the top right corner was still watching him, if you go through there quick enough. And he can spot you as you approach the elevator.
Nothing about that looks safe.
Yeah, none of it. It's all dangerous. That's one of those areas where it's just you just gotta do what works for you. Especially on All Bosses Extreme. You might be good at, if you're good at the fastest strategy, then, by all means go for it. But, if you start to struggle with it a little bit or a bunch, it's don't even bother. Find your own way to get through it, because otherwise you're going to be losing lots of runs to that.
It's a very tight area. Same with the blast furnace later.
Oh, God, yeah.
He took a bit of an alternate path there in the snow, and I think it was just to stop him from getting shot from the cameras, because they are random, whether they face left or right. That's the area that I'd usually waste a chaff just to guarantee that I don't get hit by him. And now coming up with the Sniper Wolf fight too, if you've never played Extreme. Her reaction time, or should I say that the amount of time between when she aims and when she shoots is less than a second. It's about 0.8, give or take. And that's the amount of time that you have to react to either shoot her, dodge it, or just take the hit. So it's a very, very tough fight on Extreme. A lot of people do struggle here in their first time playing.
Yeah, you do not get a lot of room to breathe for this fight. You have to be on point.
You'll notice him unequipping his PSG-1 and his camera will move left and right. And what this does is, if you go into first person mode and shift your weight with L1 or R1, you can dodge her bullets, which is thankfully helpful.
Something really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that, but he entered the room with the PSG-1 equipped, so he already had it straight out. He kind of like got the drop on her because he started the room already, like beginning the animation to bring up the first person view.
Yeah, it's a really good strat. I used to actually do it myself when I went through the caves without the glitch, but upon using the glitch to go out of bounds, it's a lot tougher to tell where you are to set that up.
That was unbelievably fast.
What a fight. I know a lot of people who run MGS1 now would kill for a fight like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I genuinely
the only
think that's
bad
the
thing
fastest
was
fight done.
Yeah, the only bad thing was like right before the last two shots, she waited a really long time behind that pillar. But other than that, like execution wise, clean.
Don't kill me yet. I'm alive. Leave it to me. I want no more extras like that, don't you?
I know that Iceman is saying all the voice lines out loud in his head.
Oh, that's why I can't sleep these days. They're just always going on.
You win.
Had enough. So, you're human.
Since there's some downtime, I will mention the cutscenes, I guess, for a funny thing that I did once upon a time. I managed to extract the entire game's cutscenes from MGS1 all the way through to 4, and got them into like a movie kind of thing, similar to how they're now on YouTube. In a sense, you can find them everywhere now. And they're huge videos. They're like 4 hours each, give or take, and 8 for Metal Gear Solid 4. And I put them all on my phone because I'll be like, oh, cool. So if I'm out and about, I can watch the cutscenes or whatever for the fun of it. And when I was working at this retail job doing like cleaning and stuff, I would like literally just whack on the cutscenes in my earbuds while I'm working. And that's kind of now why the entire script stuck in my head, because I used to listen to it while working.
I think there's something funny about a speedrunner who, in his time, he's not speedrunning, he's listening to the cutscenes. There's quite funny about that.
So you don't forget the lore.
Yeah. My favorite one to listen to actually was Metal Gear Solid 3. Just because it seems more cinematic, because I wasn't able to actually watch it, of course. I'm only listening to it. And
yeah,
you just hear all the action and stuff. And the best thing about it was the entire length of cutscenes went for about 4 hours and 3 minutes. So sometimes I would have a 4-hour shift, whack it on, and then by the time I start hearing a way to fall on the credits, I'm like, oh, sick, time to go home. You know, like, it's the dream.
Nice way to pump you up to get ready to go home.
Yeah. I even got the president on Metal Gear Solid 3 congratulating me for my efforts in today's work and everything like that.
You did a good job out there, soldier.
You are above even the boss. Like, I know I am. Thank you.
My shift's done. I'm going home now. Bye-bye. So yeah, as you mentioned before, the downtime here is just you just have to wait.
Yeah, sadly.
And if you're running in any percent, you get to wait every time you reset and mess up the opening. You get all
the first 10 minutes of the run is just jail time.
Yeah.
We'll get to see earlier you mentioned mandatory alerts with the helipad. You'll notice here, I believe he does it. He'll stick his legs out, or he'll at least have his legs to the right-hand side. So he'll spin himself around. And this helps stand up, so you're behind Johnny as you stand up, and you can get him to a chokehold before the alert even goes off, skipping one of the mandatory alerts.
Yeah, something very handy you can do if you don't feel comfortable with the amount of damage you might take on the helipad, but you still want to, save your alerts.
This is literally how I do it, and I never realized it skips the alert. Like, I never thought about it. Obviously, running any percent easy, but
He even... Oh, that was ballsy. He even choked him out 9 times instead of 10 to knock him out.
Don't want to get a kill.
it's always nice to have one for later anyway.
Because as far as mandatory kills go, I think he has 7 more. 4 horsemen and then the 3 on the cargo elevator.
And then you've also got 6 in the Jeep chase.
Oh right, yeah, 6 in the Jeep case, yeah. So much you got to keep track of in this category. Lots is going on behind the scenes. It looks like he's just breezing through the game, but there's a lot of thinking and on the fly planning that has to go into this run.
Yeah, there's also one in the blast furnace as well that he's got to kill because he'll. Unfortunately, again on this difficulty, his vision is big enough that you can see him when you're crossing the crane. So you've got to kill a guard there.
Yeah. Forgot about him. Yeah, he's got to take him out too.
So there's a lot of planning and a lot of, I guess, brain processing when you go for a big boss rank and run at the same time. It's just so much you have to think about and think ahead, of course, as well. Like, can I kill this guy? Do I have enough? You don't really keep count in your head, but you can tell when you've made a mistake.
One of the deciding factors of how many kills you have to work with throughout the rest of the run is the cell fight.
Yeah.
Depending on how many you have to take out yourself as opposed to Meryl taking out is going to affect your routing and decision making throughout the rest of the run.
It's definitely the biggest decider, that cell fight, and not only just for the amount of guards you can kill, it's also for the health as well. Because you can see it's only now 40 minutes into the run, his health has only just regenerated for the first time. So the amount of life you take or the damage you take during that fight is really, you want to limit it to 1 hit tops, because otherwise you're just going to make it harder on yourself later.
Yeah, you'll have to play safer than you normally do in certain sections. So we're fast approaching one of the scarier parts, as if everything else wasn't already scary. But we're reaching an actual very scary section of the run, the Tower A climb.
I love the Tower A climb. It's beautiful.
I'm sure anyone who's done a run of MGS1 on a high difficulty, actually probably any difficulty really, has a lot of things to say about the tower climb.
Unless you're running on PC, obviously, but yeah.
Well, yeah, unless you're on PC, yeah. If you're a console player, I forgot about that. Yeah, if you're a console player, you have a lot to say about Tower A climb.
Yeah, on this difficulty, you get 3 hits, or 3 strikes, and you're out, I guess. So health is definitely a critical thing with the higher difficulties.
He uses a stun there rather than a grenade. He normally uses a grenade, right, to get that alert.
Grenade on Sorry.
I was about to say, you want to knock the guards out behind you as well, right? Because there's two traveling towards you.
Yeah, the guards behind you is good to knock out. I think the reason why you might be familiar with grenades is when you do any descent, you don't actually have stun grenades at that point. So you have to trigger it with something else, which people use a grenade.
Yeah, that's probably that.
It's actually something I realized that we had not mentioned yet is when he's flipping these guards over. There is a throw technique you can do, which is when you have no weapon equipped and you press square in front of a guard and Snake will throw him. But there's a little bit of an animation with that. So what you want to do to be optimal is to unequip it, then throw him, and then in the animation equip it again, and it will cancel the rest of it, allowing Snake to keep running.
It's great to save time, as well as really crucial for certain areas as well. For example, the nuclear storage building, the one that fills up with gas if you're in alert. If you flip that guard and don't use the animation cancel, it is very possible that you get spotted by him as you're at the elevator. That's just a quick example. But there's plenty of spots where it just helps so much just to have that extra half a second of running.
And also, I don't think a single guard fired a shot at him that entire climb. Didn't take any damage. Which is the best case scenario is no damage. You can see he probably in his PB prior to this took some damage on that climb. He saved 10 seconds there pretty much.
Mm. Now here comes another crucial moment for this difficulty. Would be the rope rappel, as it's the last point that your life will regenerate up until the final boss. So however much life you have at the end of this rope rappel is the amount of life you'll have for the rest of the game pretty much. So you really want to do it as damageless as possible.
You really want to nail this.
I think his method is to run to the right and then zigzag down left, right, all the way. It's pretty good. Usually you only get hit by about one steam. It is possible to do it damageless this way too as well, which is nice.
You're really into damageless runs, Iceman, right? Like, you've done the Black Lung challenge multiple times for this game. Extreme with the cigarette equipped the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. I feel like it's also helped a lot too, because I started strat finding for damageless methods, and of course, they're not needed, but obviously the less amount of damage you take, the faster your run's going to be anyway. So I thought, oh, it's not too bad, but it's a nice little challenge to put in there. The two hardest points of damageless being that rope rappel and the Jeep chase, I'd say, in my opinion. Maybe the Tower A climb as well. That can be pretty tricky sometimes.
He was so close to being hit by one of the three guards at the end there, and he did a little bit of tricky movement to avoid it.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. He almost got hit right at the end.
Well, you were saying he needed to keep his health, Iceman, and he's decided to.
Yeah.
Damageless rappel, right? And damageless walkway.
Damageless rappel, tower climb, and walkway.
Ooh. I do that so often. It annoys the heck out of me.
You can just hold down left on the D-pad to get down without, like, hitting and knocking into anything. But on the way back up, it's just so much more tricky to do your movement nice.
It's just that slight change in camera angle that really just does it. See, this is the area that I mentioned earlier. Sometimes I get here with exactly 4 chaffs instead of 5, and I run out and have to swap to another weapon halfway up for the running speed. Just
cost you a menu, right? Like,
yeah, just pointing out how crucial ammunition is, because you'll see once he gets to the top of this, he's only going to have 1 chaff, which chaff grenades are probably the most used weapon in the run. They're just so
they're
versatile.
very useful. They're very useful for a variety of reasons.
Not even just for cameras, you can use them to distract guards as well from the explosion noise. It's amazing.
Yep.
And you absolutely cannot afford to get hit by this gun turret.
Now, if you get hit by the 4-banger, it can take like pretty much all your life down in one go, depending on if they all hit you at the same time. There's a bit of a weird thing. I don't know the exact reasoning behind it. It's only more of a guess on my part, but if all 4 of those cameras manage to hit you at the exact same frame, it will deal all 4 lots of damage instead of 1, and it's lethal.
Yeah, there's like a tick before it gives you iframes for damage, right? Like, there's a weird like frame or so. This boss is unbelievably hard. Ammo.
Yeah. This fight's tough.
Something I saw when I caught Iceman's stream recently when he was playing all bosses, and he wasn't waiting for the lock on, he just kind of knew where the hind was going to be. He would fire his shot and then run and hide, and it seemed to prevent you from taking a lot of damage that you would normally take.
Yeah, that's just through so many times of playing it, I've kind of gotten used to where he's going to be. But unfortunately, let's say if I missed a shot or if he goes out of line, then sadly it goes out of whack and I won't be able to do it. But the first 3 to 4 shots, you can pretty much predict where he's going to be and just have a missile ready to almost hit him after his iframes end. It's good that he hit behind that box there. Sometimes Liquid will actually shoot an extra couple of bullets after he says nice shot, and I've been caught out by it too many times. A little cheeky method here he's not doing is you can actually get a free hit in almost, firing a missile without it being locked on and then just hoping it hits him during that phase. It isn't too tough, but it can be tricky to learn the area that you have to aim for.
It is quite a big hitbox, the hind, right? Like, you can kind of like touch the top of its one of the propellers and it'll still hit.
Yeah, you can hit the propellers. I love it. I really do.
You need something back in this fight, right? This fight's really difficult.
They threw you a little bit of a bone, yeah.
Unfortunately, took a bit of damage there. It's huge the amount of life it takes after you've taken a hit.
Yeah, it's punishing.
It was unfortunate that when he hits him, he's like flying backwards. It's one of those problems with this little strat here of keeping him above you. Sometimes he can slowly move backwards. He's also going to use up all of his ammunition here, so a new box spawns there on that ledge to give him 5 extra stingers. So if you're on 4 or less, it's best to waste them after killing the hind D and then picking up a pack of 5 so you get that 1 extra.
Is that like backup ammo for Wolf 2?
Yeah. It definitely helps with Wolf 2, because if she's behind a tree you can blow her up with a Stinger missile, not only doing damage but also moving her along so you can kill her with the PSG-1 again.
We are now officially ahead.
And this little strat here, I love this strat. It's the most simplistic of things in the whole run that almost you'd think isn't needed, but it just works because he doesn't have enough chaff grenades to take out these cameras here, so he's going to use the grenades instead.
fantastic. I love it when you blow up the gun turret and it still locks onto you. Like, plays the alert sound, but it isn't there. There we go.
Right on cue.
We're right in saying this strat isn't too difficult to learn. You do it from the top of two staircases away, and
yeah. So you just prime it at the So you just prime it at the top of the first flight, and then throw it at the top of the next flight below. I drew a little diagram to help this because it doesn't have to be accurate. So, like, let's say you missed it by 2 steps and you started priming it 2 steps down. That's fine. You just got to throw it 2 steps down on the flight next, and it will still work. So, thankfully, you don't have to be too accurate with it.
this is something I always see people struggle with in runs, is this room and the cargo elevator as well. Something about guards just really throws people off.
Yeah, it's just something about them having more life than normal. Because I guess most people's first thought is to whip out the FAMAS, but that doesn't really work here because they've got, I think they take about 7 bullets each or something, maybe more.
And you can only put 1 in hit stun, right, as well. The other 3 are going to fire at you.
Yeah, exactly. A really safe method there is to flip the guards, and they'll have like a domino effect, and usually the one that you flipped will be the first one to stand up, and so you can choke him out as he's standing up while the other 3 are still on the floor from being flipped over. And a little bit more safer but slower method there for higher difficulties.
You see him priming the stinger right before he gets in.
Yeah, getting it ready for locating. That's another good thing with the stinger too here, is that you can use it to find where Wolf is, as it'll have that little hitbox where you can highlight it for the lock on, it's wonderful. Makes this fight so much easier. She's probably going to crouch in between the... Oh no, she's going to go back. Never mind.
It's unfortunate. Am I right in saying she can go left or right, she can stop at random set places, and also do the kneel down as well, but it's random which way she runs, how long she runs for?
Usually if she's running to the left, she'll keep running left until she hits the end. The exception to this being behind this mound of snow, and sometimes if you deal damage to her at a tree. She only has 4 spots where she can kneel down, and the rest of them are behind trees, and I think there's like 8 trees or something, which is ridiculous, which also puts another emphasis on having Stinger missiles here, just due to how many trees that she can hide behind.
So that pack at the hind really is a must get.
Definitely.
Obviously, what's not becoming apparent from watching Slade do it is how much you are at risk of getting shot by her as well.
Yeah.
She's not really giving her opportunity to fire back.
Yeah, I feel like this one, this is just me talking here because everyone's different, but I feel like this one is a lot easier than the first Sniper Wolf battle. And I'm pretty sure it's, well, again, this is like just my opinion on it, but I think it's purely because of the trees. So she's not going to spend time shooting you, she's going to spend more time hiding behind a tree, which gives you the upper advantage, or the upper hand.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to get some free damage in. And also, if you lost her, you can locate her really easy.
So this is that guard that I mentioned earlier on Extreme that requires being killed as he can spot you. He should just run up. I think he uses the FAMAS. It might be the other video I've watched of his a while ago, but you pretty much just run up, and then on like a 45-degree angle at a certain point, you can shoot him off screen. It's beautiful. There's a new strat here that I'll try and pull off. That involves throwing a stun grenade prior to the door. And now grenades, chaff and stun grenades are like a universal thing. They'll cover the entire room, or loaded area, I should say.
You got a really good crane there, right? Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the best
that was very
crane you
good.
can
Yeah, that's the best one, pretty much. Many of the stutter steps right there on that graded flooring.
Yeah, you can completely silence your footsteps by equipping and unequipping the weapon.
He's also going to leave this room and come back to make the elevator come up quicker.
Good trick. Good for every difficulty and version and everything you run. If you're running MGS1, you want to do that.
Lyco's got the ration equipped for this one. I don't blame him.
Yeah, this one's a little scary. I think this one's arguably scarier than the elevator.
He's missed the first throw as well.
Yeah.
That's right, it's a good recovery though.
Yeah, very good recovery. Some extra ammo.
Now, there's going to be a camera here, hidden on this like pillar in the middle here, on the right-hand side, and it is 50-50 whether it shoots you or not here. And he's just going to throw a chaff grenade just in case. Thankfully, it's not facing him this time, but it's habit to pretty much throw a chaff grenade so you don't have to wait.
And you can see his slight hesitation there because at that health, if he gets hit one more time, he's getting into dangerous territory.
Yeah, that gun turret can ping you as you're running towards the controls for the elevator as well. It can get you in all kinds of places. I believe there's a setup now, right? So you can move so it never hits you. I might be wrong about that.
Yeah, there's a certain angle you can run at. It's not 45. I think it's like a 30-degree angle, give or take. I don't know the exact. I haven't seen it in a while, but you should be able to run on this certain path upwards, and the camera is going to start firing, but it's going to be a bit delayed because of the angle and speed that you're coming on. I feel like it's consistent if you can get that analog stick in the same spot every time, but I also wouldn't risk it on this difficulty at the same time.
Yeah, it's a weird place to risk anything when you're 1 hour into the run. It's like, oh, I could just risk this.
It's just gonna, yeah.
I know we're trying to complete things as fast as possible, but sometimes a bit of patience will help you get that time you're after.
Definitely. So this is a fun little strat here. Works on all difficulties, all categories as well, unless you go for grenade strat on easy and normal. For some reason, any Nikita missile that is fired during Raven's iframes also gets invincibility for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah. So that's why Raven can't shoot our missiles here.
Oh, I'm learning all kinds of things. I actually didn't know that. I knew the strat, but I didn't know that's why it worked.
I can't prove that that's the way it works. It's just the way that I've kind of interpreted it. But you don't, because you can sit that. I'm struggling for words here. You can just spin the missile on that point there. You don't actually have to fire it at him, and he still won't be able to blow the missile up, no matter how far away, I guess. And so, given that, I've kind of just put my own reasoning on it, being if the missile fired in his iframes, then the missile also has iframes for some weird reason. There might be another method for it, but that's just the way that I see it, at least.
We are fast approaching on everyone's favorite area.
Yeah.
MGS1.
It's incredible to see for the first time. I can remember very clearly the first time I got here.
A lot of people's favorite area.
Well, for some reason, I actually like that camera room prior. That's one of my favorite rooms. and it's for the oddest reasons. It's actually one of the few, I think, if not only room in the entire game that has no music playing in the background. It's just the sound of the water gushing underneath you. It's just this weird room with like 40-something cameras on the wall.
It is a little strange how many cameras are up there.
I think it's.
I don't really know why there's that many.
I think it's worth mentioning, like, if you fancy some self-flagellation, go read the comments on this YouTube video. Some of them are absolutely horrendous, but my favourite one has to be. In fact, rather to do it justice, I'll read it out word for word. Give me a second. It's a good one. This.
Oh boy.
This guard here that he's approaching, I would say, but with the exception of the blast furnace guard, I would say this guard is one of the hardest to maneuver around for a big boss rank without killing him. Purely for the noisy floor and the path that he takes. You can be patient and make it easy, but we're going for time here, of course. So if you're not patient and you want this big boss rank, this guard can be very painful to dodge.
Yeah, I remember Glenn losing Big Boss to this guard in a marathon run. I think it was ESA, PC version. Kept Big Boss up until that point. I mean, it's a tricky guard. It's a very tricky guard. And when you're playing the game for the first time casually, they specifically say in the codec that the area is empty, right? To trick you into missing that guard.
Yeah, you get this like, because you go up the first floor and it's empty. You got the second floor, it's empty. Third floor, it still seems empty, and of course he's off screen and he's going to hear you before you even know he's there. So
yeah, my favorite comment on this video by Martin L 4 days ago. You would have saved loads of time by going to the pipe to the side of Rex to get the hot PAL key.
Not the cold one though, just the hot one.
Just the hot one. There's a lot of things wrong with the comment. We could probably do another episode to just analyze that comment. But obviously, link to Slade's YouTube video.
Yes, go give Slade a subscription on YouTube.
It's nothing but quality, right? His YouTube is nothing but quality.
Yes, all of his runs that he has uploaded there, and his other videos. I think the other ones are some GTA things when GTA 5 came out, but I don't remember.
There's like this cheat where you can come up and do like this skydiving thing, and it was like flying in between objects and stuff. Precision.
I love that. I love his mentality. Like, he literally had the grenade ready for the best rat, just in case.
Yeah, I used to do that as well.
Might as well.
I got lucky once. There's a clip of this, and it still breaks my heart to this day, because I was doing a black lung run, and so I've got here with 1% health, and I had the grenade ready. I primed it, I threw it, I got the best rat ever with the grenade kill, and then I run into the water and instantly die because my life was at 1%.
There's an amazing clip of Tarantino where he does that grenade strat, and then he just says, "Bye bye, ratto."
Yeah.
Obviously, now it was recently crafted by DLM13 that you can actually get the Palki faster from the drainage ditch. It's no good for big boss runs, but if you're going for purely time, the Palki pretty much from the drainage ditch pretty much always comes out faster than even Godrat.
Yeah, on average, the drainage ditch is faster than a rat. Only exception is Godrat being, I think it was like a couple of seconds at most. So even then, it's not worth the risk because you're looking at 15% chance of him coming out as a Godrat, whereas the rest is a guaranteed time save.
Yeah. But I'm sure Slade would scoff at that strat and say, "I'll keep my big boss rank, thank you."
Yeah, nothing better than the rank.
It is such a nice feeling. Like, if you haven't run like a high difficulty, high rank category before, and you've only watched them, it's cool to like finish the run and like if you're watching someone do it, finish watching the run and then see the rank pop up. Totally different feeling when you're the one playing and you see that rank pop up.
I think
It
a game like this,
is very good.
the difference between the amount you have to do to get Big Boss in MGS1 is ridiculous compared to 3, for example. I think it's much easier to achieve in 3. I think the hardest bits of getting the rank are the same thing you'd use to make the run fast, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You can get a much faster time and no rank in MGS1, whereas in 3 you pretty much come out with the same time whether you did or you didn't.
Yeah, I'm putting those channel points to good use over on my channel, and I think I've now set it to 15,000 points, and people can redeem a Big Boss rank where I just run through the game to get it. And people fucking keep spamming. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. I don't know if you want me.
We're gonna have to ask you to leave. I'm sorry.
People keep redeeming it because they're just trolls, and so I've had to do it 3 times now in the past month. But even doing that 3 times in such a short time frame, every single time it still feels like such a great achievement, regardless of how many times I've done it. It's just something about it.
Something about that result screen popping up and saying Big Boss. Nothing better.
Put Iceman's Twitch in the chat. Please give him a follow. Plays a lot of MGS1 at a very high level. Also plays
we're witnessing that high level
games, Driver. Silent Hill Driver.
Driver. That's what we like.
Yeah, I got the world record on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're one of the best driver players in the world.
Oh,
right?
do you really? I didn't know that.
You're sick at it.
Oh wow! I have not caught a driver's stream. I'll have to check in now. Finally down for one driver's stream.
Iceman's from Australia, so for me, his streams tend to be quite difficult for me to catch because they start early in the morning, a time I'm not known for being awake at. But I do enjoy catching them. And I'll check the VOD. So if your stream, I'll if I'm looking for something to watch, I'll generally just watch a VOD from your stream because it's always good stuff.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I do a lot of challenge runs as well. I've been doing them a lot lately this year instead of MGS. I took a tiny bit of a break from this game because I was just like, I want to try something else for a bit. And I started doing knife-only runs on all the horror games I know. And so I've managed to do Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and 7 with just the knife on the hardest difficulty. And I also did Silent Hill with just the knife the other month, which is stupidly tough, but I don't know. I just enjoy it. It was fun to me.
Challenge runs are fun. They're enjoyable.
I've been having a blast since picking up MGS3 Tuxedo. It really reignited my my love for the game.
We need to get if you've ever seen Slade stream any MGS game, but mostly referring to in this case MGS3, you'll know his thoughts on MGS3. Take a look at his description, his MGS3 panel. You ever seen it, Apache?
No, I've not.
Oh, it's got the picture of the title, and then the text below it. It's just like 10 lines that all say "I love MGS3." The description for 2 and 1 is like describing tricks and techniques, but for MGS3, it's just "I love MGS3" repeated.
I don't blame him. It's a really great game. Yeah, I think I'm going to add a channel point reward to read comments from MGSlade's Run Out Loud.
Make sure you include his MGS2 PB as well.
Oh, is there some bad ones on there as well?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think it's old. It's like all the old school runners that always tend to have like the worst comments on their YouTube stuff. Because when my marathon runs get uploaded by ESA, they have the odd bad one. They had the odd stupid one. Like someone was telling me I can double tap triangle to skip the codex in MGS1. I'm like, pretty sure you can't, mate. I'm almost certain you can't.
I've got this one bloke. He comes in my streams a fair bit when I'm doing runs of this game, And every single time I skip the torture scene, he's always just like, "Oh, don't forget to throw the bomb away." And I'm like, "Mate, we didn't save Meryl. There's no bomb." He's like, "No, there's a bomb, I swear." And I'm like, "Oh my god."
I think it is both marathon runs at GDQ that Slade did of MGS1 where he saved Meryl. I think it was both of them, right? Yeah, it was both.
Yeah.
Yeah, he that won both times. His GDQ runs, if you haven't seen them, they're very good. You should definitely go check them out.
I think something for the future we want to do is have like a GDQ focused episode where we watch some old GDQ runs and do commentary on them. And there's been so many good ones, but something in the future.
Yeah, I love watching Molotov's MGS3 run back in 2013.
Yes, first on the list. It's literally
that's the first one. That run is a work of art.
If I ever met the guy in person, I would shake his hand. It is exceptional.
Honestly, my favorite bit of that entire run is at the end of the run. Like the whole thing's fantastic, but I love the very end when it's like telling you all these special items that you've got. You know, stealth, it's hard to get. The infinite ammo face paint is also very tough to get on European Extreme and stuff. He's done them all in one run. He's just like, "Oh, look at this, look at that, save? No!"
I love the way no. It's so good. It's a great run.
Oh, we could do it another time, you know? Like, just meant nothing to him.
What's brilliant is he said he does say in the run that he hasn't had Foxhound many times. I think he says he's had it once or something like 3.
Oh, and the other thing I do like about that run is the Gru. Just after you meet up with Eva, you got to take out the 10 guards.
Yeah, the Ocelot unit.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry.
He does it naked for a donation incentive, and he's got this ridiculous strategy. Yeah,
where he goes up on the roof and jumps on the 4 of them that are like below. That was insane.
That strat is so good. It was first featured in a there's a video on Hikari's channel. It was where he compiled them, but he had like separate guard strategy videos on his channel. But he uploaded one that was just like a huge compilation of them, of like all the possible strategies you could do. And that roof one was he clearly snagged it from Hikari's things, because with some his own tweaks, because he's doing it naked, but
yeah,
in general it's pretty much the same thing that Hikari came up with in that video. So right now there's not much to talk about. He's just heating up the PAL card.
Heating up the old cards.
Heating up them cards.
Should use that vent next to Rex.
Yeah, what was he thinking? All he had to do is aim his gun in first person and shoot it. You know, that mechanic you can do in this game.
Clearly the best in the world obviously doesn't know how to play the game, so...
Yeah, clearly I do.
There is always like
I know how to play it.
Right? It's like, I ran this game 5 years ago, and I played this game 5 years ago, and I sort of remember this, maybe, compared to a person that clearly plays the game every single day, multiple times. But I'm sure this is...
That's how you do it, man. You play the game, and then 5 years go by and remember a big time save. That's how it works, right?
Not that someone couldn't have been playing the game in their own home, not really talking about it online, and have come up with something really good, but it's never the people in the comments.
Yeah, and like Iceman mentioned prior, he actually got lucky in that the camera was moving in such a way so that when he slid right underneath it, it didn't see him at all.
I think we could talk briefly about Slade has had world records in Metal Gear Solid. He doesn't hold any at the moment, but the biggest takeaway from this is this run is on the PlayStation 1, so its hardware limitations compared to other things that you can run this game on are very different. The loads are a lot slower on the PlayStation 1, and this is the NTSC copy, which means he has the sleeping late as usual cutscene still play, which is a 2-minute. I want to say it's a 2-minute cutscene. I may be wrong.
2:31.
Yeah, 2:31.
Damn. I tried to like, not underestimate it, but I still managed to underestimate it. It's just that long.
It's a long cutscene.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I can't speak accurately about because I've never done the true testing for it. But I find that comparing PlayStation to a PS TV, the load times are about 4 to 5 minutes quicker on the PS TV. It's just an estimate of mine, so it's not exactly correct. And then you also take into consideration that the integral version, which Slade isn't using here, saves that 2-minute 31-second cutscene. So you're looking at about 6.5, 7.5 minutes of time save on his run if he was to use the same console and region, give or take.
Yeah, so nowadays people use the PS TV for their runs with faster speed, it loads faster, use the integral version to skip a cutscene. So this run, if you compare the IGT time to runs of now, it doesn't really make sense, and it doesn't tell you how good this run actually is.
Yeah.
We're just looking at straight gameplay wise, this run is ridiculous. This is a Slade speedrun, it is off his YouTube.
Go give him a sub.
Yeah, the link is... Yeah. Oh, sorry if that comes up on my screen. It's literally just.
But yeah, as we were mentioning prior, is that this run, now obviously, if you look at the leaderboard, this run has been beaten. But if we're gonna get very specific in terms of same conditions, same console, same everything, this run has still not been beaten. This run has still not been beaten on console.
Yeah, it's been a goal of mine
conditions.
For years now.
It's a very difficult goal.
Yeah, so one of the things
I you for going for it.
He keeps under the same conditions as Slade, so he runs on the same hardware, runs the same version. Correct, Bigu, it is same. It's original PS1 hardware. And Slade is, in some ways, like, just a guy who was practicing on his own and trying to work out how to play the game fast and just came up with ridiculous stuff. Like, he wasn't... I can't think of the word. It's like, you think of a guy might come along one day with ridiculous times. Slade is that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe this time was achieved around the time when I think the Englishman was making his first tasks. I could be wrong about that. I know he made a second task more recently, but I believe he was making the first one around the time that Slade did this run.
Alright, something I came up with for Metal Gear Solid. I have to mention this, it's my only contribution. But if you go into first-person view, the codec will pull you out of first-person view so you can time it quicker to get it on like the first frame.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You can also do it in a few places in MGS2. Tron Monchino messaged me one day. He was like, "I watched you run that thing you do with the first-person view for the codec. Ridiculous." So I was like, "Yeah, I came up with something." It saves.
Oh my god! What's my dog doing? Sorry.
No worries.
So Rex, as we've mentioned up to this point, there are still no heals. Can't heal yet. And this is kind of like, where taking damage is very scary. You're going to be seeing just crazy fast menuing and movement. It's almost hard to tell what exactly Slade is doing here.
Whatever he did, it works because he didn't take a single hit.
Yeah, I didn't take a single hit.
Am I right in saying that if you die in phase 2, you go back to the first phase of Rex?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
great.
you do. Yep.
So
Dog
you would
decided to
get
start howling. Love it.
you would get such a ridiculous time loss for that, because you would have to watch this entire cutscene again.
Yeah, and I find phase 2 to be a little bit tougher as the angle that you've got to aim to hit Liquid here, kind of, you have to be further back, which forces him to use the missiles instead. Almost. It is possible to get him with the lasers, like range-wise, but considering the angle that you've got to aim upwards, you're normally trying to face off against these missiles that Rick shoots instead in phase 2, which are a pain.
See him walking up closer to Rex at times to make sure that his missiles travel less distance, which is just a little scary.
You can tell he just has such an exceptional grasp of every boss attack and how the game plays.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that cutscene that we can't skip.
If you shoot the ninja during his monologue.
That's true. If he dies, he stops talking. So then the fight can continue. It's just no one's found out how to shoot him yet, unfortunately.
You're still alive.
Yeah, it won't let you pull the trigger. This is the cutscene that is skippable in Integral, which is the version the majority of players use now.
Yeah. Integral is the Japanese re-release. So Japan had a release of this game, just called Metal Gear Solid Normal. It was very strange. There's no difficulty selection on it. I think you're locked onto easy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you can get Big Boss as well, right? You can get Big Boss in easy.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest way to get Big Boss. I'd still say that PC Extreme is probably easier than getting Big Boss on Japanese console easy.
Yeah, just from the God mode exploit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing our place in a world
And then we got an NTSCU and PAL release of MGS1, which updated with added difficulty and a couple other things. And then when they made another re-release for MGS1 that was exclusive to Japan, that was called Integral, and Integral adds a lot of the changes that were in the Western release of MGS1, and also allows you to skip this cutscene.
But as long as there are people, there will always be war.
Yeah, it's a bit of an old one. As I mentioned prior to the starting of the stream, it even like there's a small thing in the cell fight with Meryl at the very start of the game where if you're playing the United States version, the game will automatically equip the SOCOM for you upon picking it up in the fight. And it doesn't do that in the Integral version, so it just throws a bit of a spanner in the works there. And then, of course, the walkway guards, they shoot more bullets on the Integral version than the United States version. I'm not sure why. It's just small changes to make it tougher, I guess.
But yeah, while Liquid is chatting away, we don't really care what he's saying. The Liquid fight itself, though, as I'm sure you all, if you've ever seen or heard anything about an MGS1 speedrun, you probably know about the Liquid Infinite. You've either seen it or heard about it or tried it yourself, maybe. Now, if Liquid gets out of the Infinite, it's not like, immediately run dead, but it does get a little scary. So
even more emphasis on that as well, is if you've never played Extreme, you can and will fall off and instantly die if you go anywhere near the edge.
Yep. Unlike
other difficulties.
Yeah, I think it's completely fair to say no matter what version of the game you run or difficulty, there is some learning to do to nail this fight. And on Extreme, that's just pushed even further.
Yep.
I love how he starts the timer and you take 30 seconds off it straight away.
Yeah.
You could enjoy one brief moment of love.
If you go from a continue, do you get the full 3 minutes?
Yeah, you do.
Cross this line, you fall.
You get about 255, I believe, because it does like the have at you snake before you can move.
If you save here and then reload the file, do you get the 255?
It's 230, sadly.
Oh, does it really? That's a shame.
Yeah.
Can't overstate how hard this is.
Yeah, it's that tough that it doesn't matter how good you are at this game or how good you are a person, it is very common for people to actually take their headsets off or mute their game just to avoid confusion with the amount of pace that you need to press the button at.
The timing, yep.
Hurry! Yeah, you'll see that really often in marathon runs. You'll see people take their headsets off.
I'll drive.
I know Plywood did it, Limes has done it, various people I've seen do it.
Yeah, I got to that smart ass self one day where I was just like, I'll see if I can try and have a full conversation with someone while I was doing it. And I only got about 20 punches in until I lost it and then died, so don't do that.
It's quite clever that he left the guard in front of the car so he would get run over.
Hold on!
He's crafty.
Yeah, from here on out, pretty much, there's 5 more guards we're to kill. It's very tough. The guards will do a boatload of damage to you, so you want to minimise that because you don't get any rations here in the Jeep Chase either. So it's common on this difficulty to get to the end of the Jeep Chase with 2 or 3 hits left on your life bar.
Yep.
And then when we get to the liquid section, what you want to do to make it as quick as possible is you want to aim away from liquid, and this will force him to pop up and shoot at you, and then you flick your gun back to him and hit him as quickly as you can. So
yeah, this section is not an auto-scroller. Liquid has an invisible health bar, and you have to hit him, depending on difficulty, the amount you have to hit him goes up. So you can be better and worse at this section for a lot of times.
It's not over yet.
A lot of people think once you get here, though, oh, the run's over, whatever. But it really is not. This section can still mess you up, especially on this difficulty.
If you keep your gun hovering... Sorry,
mate, you go.
I was just going to say, if you keep your gun hovering above liquid here, you can run out that 8-minute clock and nothing happens. It just goes to 0. And you can just sit there in this endless tunnel while he doesn't shoot you.
Didn't know that. I was going to say, I ran this game for an embarrassingly long time before I actually found out that this section was not an auto-scroller.
So you can see him doing that flip technique that Iceman was mentioning before.
Yeah, because if you keep your gun anywhere near his Jeep, he'll duck for cover and you won't be able to shoot him. It's a painful thing, but something I see happen a lot from beginner runners or people just playing casually even, is they'll keep the gun on him the entire time and just wonder why they can't hit him.
The other very cool thing is that he noticed that he knew exactly when to change the aim and make sure that he was going into the next phase.
The game
very
audio
cool.
is cut here on the VOD. It isn't.
Yeah, I think it's because this is a Twitch highlight, so this is probably muted
for the
the
credits.
audio. Yeah, for the credits.
We're not going to watch all the credits, but what we are going to do is just skip forward a little bit into the video and take a look at the IGT.
Yeah. Upon the final shot on liquid to when you see your score screen, it's about 7 minutes and 10 seconds.
No, sir.
A lot of waiting to do.
Mr. President.
There you go.
Of course, 1:38:36. No saves or continues. Being found, aka alerts, 3 times, and those are the ones that
required
you have to take.
ones. Yep.
Yeah. And less than 25 kills. No rations, of course, as well. He's got stealth now, so he's going to have a great time playing through that.
Yeah.
He unlocked Stealth Edge.
So yeah, that was a incredible run. I really enjoyed watching that. What I love about Legacy, I love getting to sit here and watch these really great runs from the past. We're going to cut to a short intermission while we get Iceman set up, and then he's going to show you a run now in 2020.
It ain't going to be 1:38, I'll tell you that.
You never know. Could be today. Could be the day. What are you going to be running on? What version are you running on, Iceman?
PS1. I couldn't get anything else set up.
No worries. PS1 NTSC copy of the game.
I can do NTS. I can do the integral though if you want.
Yeah, do integral. We'll have a look at integral because it's good to talk about as well the differences. All right, I'm going to cut to a quick intermission unless you got anything else you want to add, Minnie.
Good luck, Iceman.
We'll see you all in. I'll see you in 5.